Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, we're making this adorable three-dimensional slot-together snowman just in time for Christmas. This is a clever design where most of the pieces slot together without the need of any glue. The only glue you'll need is to add the tiny decorations such as the nose and the eyes. This lovely little snowman measures approximately 10.5 inches tall from his bottom all the way up to the top of the hat, and he's completely freestanding. You can even add lights inside him too by adding a battery-powered candle or fairy lights inside before you add in one of the sides. All the sides just pop out because there's no glue in them at all, so you can easily turn your lights or candle on and off whenever you want to. So let's find out where to get the files for this cute little snowman. Here he is all stood up, and then how to make him. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-svgs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder, and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then go into Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer, or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder, and then the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag that in, and then this is what it looks like. Click on Upload, and then it will appear in your recent uploads. Click it to get the green border, and then press Add to Canvas. The design should load in at 23.25 inches wide and 23.5 inches tall. If yours is different to that, you can resize it to match those specifications. There are a couple of little things we need to do to add some score lines before this is ready to cut. First, click the design to select it, and then press the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel to separate out the layers. If we click away from it now, you can see there are several little mini groups inside here, each of which consist of a black shape and then a horizontal line. And this is what's going to make up the edges of the hat of the snowman. There are 6 in total. Now this is actually just the same 2 shapes repeated 3 times. So to make this quicker, you can click a box around 4 of them, 4 on the right hand side, and press the trash can icon to delete them. And now we've just got 2 left, and they do look very similar, but they are different. You can see on this one, it's got these 2 tabs quite near the bottom, whereas on the second one, the tabs are much higher up. To change the score lines, look in the Layers panel and click one of the horizontal lines. Make sure in your Layers panel it's only selected that horizontal line, nothing else. So you see this is the only one that's got that green background. When you look at it under the Operations menu, it will be green in the colour. Click into there and change it to a score line. Now click the whole mini group, so it's going to select your new score line and the black shape underneath, and then down the bottom press Attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut to do that score line on the black shape. There's one more underneath, so I'll click on my other horizontal line, change that to a score layer, click to select both of those, and press Attach. Now we need to duplicate these, so we've got 6 in total. So drag a box that selects just those 2 shapes, nothing else. So you can see I've got those selected. In my Layers panel, I've got my 2 attach things selected. And then press the Duplicate button up here. That will make our first copy. And then press Duplicate again. That will make our second copy. So now we've got 6 shapes in total, 3 of each design. And that's all you need to change. If you don't have a scoring stylus or wheel, You can delete the score lines instead. It will just make it a little bit trickier to put the hat together, but it is still perfectly possible. So if you don't want to do the scoring, that is fine. You can leave it out. Just remember to delete those lines. When you're happy with how everything is looking, click Make over on the top right, and that will separate out the different colours. You can change the paper size in the drop down here, and you will need to do that for every single colour. You can also move things about to try and fit them onto less sheets of card. So you can move things, for example, would that fit in there? No, not quite. Make sure nothing overlaps. So I couldn't do that because the top of the circle just touches the body. When you're happy with how everything is looking, press Continue to connect to your Cricut machine and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out from cardstock. All my pieces of the snowman are now cut out, so it's time to start putting him together. And I'm going to start with the body section. I've added a little darker background to my work table so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit easier, because when I tried doing this recording with the white snowman on my normal white table, you can really see what I was doing. So hopefully this will help the pieces show up a bit better. We'll start by doing the gluing for the body, and that's just to add the extra details such as the brown on the arms and the little black circles behind to make the buttons in the front. The arms of the snowman have a little score line on them, so I'm just going to fold that both ways to get that a little bit flexible before doing the gluing. And then we've got a piece for the front and a piece for the back. So you just want to make sure you've got them round the right way, which that isn't. There we go, that's the one I want. And then I'll stick this on with just a little bit of glue on there. While that's drying, I'll do the other side, which is that one. And then for this middle section, we've got the 3 holes. I'll turn that upside down, and I'm just going to add a bit of glue around all the holes. Not very much, just a tiny little bit, don't go out too far. Around all 3. There we go. And then you've got 3 little circles of black, and you cover the hole to fill in the colour of the coal for our little snowman's front. And then turn these over and add the matching piece on the other side. Again, just check you've got it all lined up right. That one. And I forgot to fold that score line, so I'll do that now. And add the final bit on the back of this one. Okay, we'll set that aside so the glue can really dry, and whilst it's drying we'll put together the main structure of the snowman's body. There are 3 pieces to the body, and it's important to put them together in the correct order, and the difference is in how the slits look at the top and the bottom of each piece. The first piece to add is the one that just has this tiny slit down the top bit of the bottom section, and then if you look at the top bit, it's got the tallest slit coming out from here. The middle one, the second one, is the one that has 2 slits on this bottom section, so we've got a little one there and one there, and then the third and final one we'll add is the one where the slit comes out of that very bottom line. We'll start with these 2. So I've got number 1 here. Pick up the second one And being very careful not to bend or rip these pieces, slide the top section into the slit on that first piece and then carefully maneuver it into place so that the slits on the bottom sections go into each other. You'll end up with 4 sides that will stand up. And then to add the third side, hold these flat against each other. Take the third piece, and again we're going to start at the top, put the slit from part 3 over both 1 and 2, so it's going all the way in, and then carefully move it through and put the bottom slit over the bottoms. And now you've got the 6 sides and it should completely stand up by itself. To add the rigidity to stop it moving about, you've got these 2 circle pieces. And for this project, these 2 circles are exactly the same. So it doesn't matter which one you put in the top and which one you put in the bottom. So what I'm going to do is take my circle and put it through into the middle of my body structure. And then there are little slits on the side. If I move that around, you can see one there. These slits are going to go into the matching slits on the structure. So you can kind of see here, it's a bit hard to show you, but you can kind of see there's little slits in each of the sides, and that's what we're going to be sliding it into. It's a little fiddly, especially getting the first few into place. So just take it really slowly, just because we don't want to rip anything. And until you've got a few in, if you let go like I just did, it will probably fall. So let's get 1, 2. And then, oh, that one's come out a bit. You'll probably find that happens. They'll keep kind of losing their place a little bit until you've got them all exactly where they need to go. Keep wiggling very gently. And eventually they'll all pop in. So that circle is now sitting really flush and straight, and it's in there securely. And then we need to do the same with the bottom circle, which is going to go in the bottom into all of the slits in this section. There we go. So we've now got the top and the bottom circles in there, and our body is almost done. Now we can start adding the sides in. And if you want to add fairy lights or a lantern in the middle, you could do that now, or you could wait till it's all finished and then just remove one of the sides and add your lights in at a later time. We'll start with the very front section, which is this one with the little coal pieces. And it doesn't matter which side of the body you put it in, but what we need to do is start with the bit with the snowflake on it, this little tab. That goes up through the top of any one of those sides, and then gently sort of bend it to make a little arch and slide the bottom section through the hole in the bottom, and that will then hold that in place. We need to put the arms of the snowman on either side of this one. So I'll start this side, and that goes in at the top, and then we'll bend it slightly so that we can fit the bottom in the hole in there. Give it a little wiggle until it goes all the way in. The other arm side goes next to that piece with the coal, and exactly the same in the top, and then bend it round and slide the bottom in. Okay. Our other 3 segments are these 3. Here we go. And they're all the same. So it doesn't matter which order you put these in, they'll just cover up the remaining 3 holes. And there we have it, body done. Next, we're going to go and move on to making the head of the snowman. Again, we'll start with the gluing, which is for the eyes and the mouth detail. So first, get each of your sides of the snowman's face and turn them upside down. And then you've got 2 little black pieces which look like that, and that's to make his smile. So I'm just going to go a little bit around the edge of the cutout of the mouth with my glue. And then stick the black pieces of card over the top. The eyes work a little bit different because we've got 2 ovals. We've got a white one and a black one. And the first thing to do is to glue the black eye shapes onto the white. And then once you've done that, add a little bit of glue around the edge of the hole and put the eye over there. And then just turn it round and make sure you're happy where that little white oval has gone to give the little highlight on the eye. It adds so much character just by having that extra little bit of white in the middle. So that's why we've added that in. Do the same for the other side. So I'm gluing the black eye onto the white one. Then a little bit around there. Put that in place and then turn it over and check you're happy with where that's going. I'll leave that to dry whilst I make the main structure. And once again, we've got this in 3 pieces, and you want to start with the one where there's slits at the top. The second one has slits at the top and the bottom of this little bit, and the third has the slit in the bottom section. So I've got piece 1, pick up piece 2, slide it in at the top, and then carefully fold it through and get the 2 little bits overlapping at the bottom, and then you'll have 4 sides. Then we'll add the third one, so all the way in at the top, carefully feed it through and slide in at the bottom too. And this will start looking very familiar. Next, we have the 2 circles, and these are exactly the same. So just like with the body, it doesn't matter which one you put at the top and which one you put at the bottom. And it's the same process of sliding it in and getting all of the sides stuck into the grooves. Now, because you've seen me do this for the body, I'm just going to whiz through this bit really quickly on the camera for the top and bottom. Here we go, there's my circles in the top and the bottom, so that's all nice and secure. Now we can start adding the face panels, and look for the edge which has this extra little bulge on the side of it. This is the front of the face, and the cut here is where the nose will go. So take 1/2 of that tiny cut and fold it in one direction, and then fold the other half in the other direction, and you'll end up, it's hard to see, with this little flat section here, which is how we'll glue the nose on in a little while. But first we'll add the sides. So So here we go. These ones are a little bit different because we've only got the slot in at the top. The bottoms look different. We've got these bits on the side instead. That's because I wanted the face to go down the edge of the shape a lot more to look a bit more realistic. So for these ones, there are two different types of tab. There's the tabs which appear part way up the side, which is this one. And then half of them have the tab directly along that very bottom line. And we'll need to alternate these as we're putting the sides in. So if I put them in order so you can see, I've got my two face pieces, and it doesn't matter which way around they actually go. If your left piece has the bottom bits, like this one, that's fine. You just need to make sure you alternate. So we've got the tabs up on the side, then at the bottom, up on the side, at the bottom, and then up on the side and at the bottom. Now we're ready to start slotting them in. So we'll start with this bit that we folded out. This is the front, so the two eye pieces go either side of that. I'm going to slot the top into my top hole. There we go. And on this one, I've got my tabs upwards. These are the top tabs. So I'm going to put these in the top holes on the left and the right side. So I've got two holes. These will go in the top one. One in that way. And then the other in that way. And it still holds it in place, just like the other style with the body. And now the other eye. So this time, I'll need to use those bottom holes. The top one's already filled with the other side. That's why it alternates. So we'll go in there, and then in the bottom hole of each side. Like that. All right, now we can start doing the sides. And they'll alternate, remember. So this time I'm using the top holes. So it goes in that slot, and then in my top hole on either side down there. And the next one goes in the bottom. So slide that one in, and then this goes in the bottom hole on each of those sides. And then I've got my other two as well, so just make sure you keep alternating. This one's my bottom one. And finally, there's one more for the top. Oop, missing the hole. There we go. Top. And come on. There we go. Okay, head almost done. He just needs his little nose. Put a dab of glue on both of those tabs that you folded in. And then with our carrot nose, place it on top. He's so cute. And that's going to need a little moment to dry, so I'm going to leave him off to one side. And then we can move on to doing the hat. I'm back to my white table now, so you can see what I'm doing with the hat. We'll start with the gluing, and each of these 6 segments has a little bit to glue in here. When you're adding the glue, you want to choose the side that your Cricut scored on. So I can see my score line is on this side. This is where the scoring tool hit. This is the side I want to glue on, and this will be the inside. If you've used card that's a different colour on the other side, it doesn't matter too much. You can have the score line on the outside and glue it this one instead, but it just goes together a little easier if that score line is on the inside. I've already glued those 5. I've just got one more to do. Bit of glue around the edge there. And then stick that one on. Then we need that to dry, so we can put them all over to one side whilst we make the main structure of the hat. Here we go. And again, we've got the same order. We've got a slit on the top bit here, that's number 1. We've got this one which has 2 slits, that's number 2. And then the one with the slit at the bottom is number 3. And this one is a little bit trickier than the others because it's so wide. So just be really, really careful not to bend or rip the card when you're doing it. And just get that through. It's very thin in the middle along that bottom, the number 2 piece. So be careful not to rip it. There we go. It's my first 2. And now the third one. This is the trickiest bit of all, getting this third one on. Make that through. And then it kind of just falls into place. Then we've got the 2 circles that you'll be becoming very familiar with. And these are the same for the top and the bottom. So one on the top and one on the bottom of this hat piece. Now my top and my bottom circle are in, we can add the sides. Just like with the head, these ones alternate the tabs along the bottom. So put them in order. There are 2 different ones. Again, you've got the ones with the tabs that are slightly raised up against the bottom. And then the other ones are even more raised. So you can see we've got them alternating. Grab the first one, and then so this is the bottom one, so slide it in the top, and then this will go in the bottom holes, and as you sort of bend it, that score line helps take some of the bend away, so it will go into position easier. My red bit of card has just popped off. My glue obviously wasn't quite dry. One in there. And one in there. Then the next one, this will go in my bottom holes. Slide the top in. And then, sorry, other way around. This time it's going in the top holes. Looking at the wrong thing. It can be a little bit tricky getting the tabs in on this one because they have to sit behind the ones you've already done. So you might need to do a little bit of wiggling about to get them in. There's that one. And then I'm going to keep going for all of these until my hat is all finished. Here's my hat all put together, and you might find some of the little bottom tabs pop out as you've gone round and put the other ones in. So if that's the case, just tuck them back in where they're supposed to go. And then we can do the final step. Here's our Mr. Snowman. Got my front facing me. And then you see inside the head there's this kind of star shape. This will slot onto the gaps in the star shape of the body. It's a little tricky. You got to get it lined up. But once it's lined up, it will just push on. And you know it's in the right place because you get this little cute little wiggle when it's on there, but it doesn't go any further. So you can't turn the head all the way around. Just A little bit of bobble. Next, add on this little donut circle. It just goes over like that one. And then finally with the hat, it kind of does the same thing. So we've got the star shape. And then it fits on the top there. And if I carefully move him out, here we go. Our 3D slot together snowman is all finished. And if you want to, you can of course take off any of the sides of the body to put in a battery powered candle or some fairy lights. Just make sure you don't put anything in there that's likely to get hot. But for now, here we go. Beautiful snowman. His hat's coming off a bit because I'm picking him all upside down, the poor thing. To add a bit more detail, if you want to, you could add a ribbon around his neck to look like a scarf. But he is all ready to sit up on my shelf this Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Christmas crafts and Cricut fun, including loads more slot together designs just like this adorable little snowman. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!